Let's get into it. 1, 2, 3. Let's get some more. Have it in. Some more. Just give some more.
Hey, well, hello, and welcome to My Whiskey Den, your favorite public access whiskey review show where craft whiskey is king. And tonight, we are lucky enough to have Morgan with us again this evening, so thank you very much for stopping in.
Of course.
You might have to make it a permanent thing, you know, threaten Mitch with a little bit of that. So, but Mike, thank you for being with us this evening. Everyone in the chat, thanks for being here. We're going to be discussing whiskey in the Olympics, maybe something you should be drinking with an in particular sport or something that goes with sport very well. And I'll be honest, I went down a weird rabbit hole as into events that should be in the Whiskey Olympics. As another rabbit hole for later on in the show. So Mike, do you want to tell everyone about the Bar Cart Co-op?
I'm dying to tell everyone about the Bar Cart Co-op.
I knew you were. That's why I was holding off for a second. I was making you wait. It's getting that excitement stirred.
All right, let the blood pressure fly down. Okay, Bar Cart Co-op is a collection of friends who create content for the whiskey and other distilled spirits public. The Bar Cart Co-op YouTube and Facebook pages have information about upcoming and past special shows, which happen about every quarter, from blind tastings to distiller panels to discussions of special collaborations and the usage of unique grains. The Bar Cart Co-op has educational and fun episodes for your enjoyment, including this Thursday. Topic is distilling history, and the guests are Steve Bayshore from Mount Vernon, Eric Wolf from Stoll and Wolf, and Alan Bishop. I think he's been mentioned a couple times on here before, and hosted by the silkiest voice on the internet, Mr. Kevin Rose. They'll be talking about the project that they did at Mount Vernon. I'm sure they will be talking about not only the rye whiskey, but also making apple brandy there. And then also the collaboration, little offshoot label going on at Stoll and Wolf. Both of these are using, I think both times they used recipes dating back to the 1700s.
That is true.
So that should be really cool. All right. And then we have Distillers Talk, which is the oldest show in the group, hosted by Christy Atkinson and Alan Bishop. It's a conversation with people from distilleries and distillery adjacent that gets into deep and sometimes off the rails and back again discussions with their interviews. New episodes arrive at the end of the work week. And if that is not nerdy enough, then go to One Piece at a Time Distilling Institute, where, once again, Alan Bishop answers any questions about distilling and often puts them to the test. It could be individual grains, entire mash bills, equipment, methodology. New episodes come out randomly, so subscribe to that. And there will also be an offshoot of that, including classes coming up at the new place at Old Homestead. So please be sure to check that one out and keep up on it. Then we have the Bourbon Turntable, where they mix the love of music with the love of whiskey. They have conversations with musicians, writers, distillery folks, and common folks like us about music and whiskey. It releases every Wednesday on all your platforms, including YouTube. Shows coming up are solo albums and single barrels. So he's going to be doing a Sting solo album and Russell's Reserve this week. Next week, Chris Tapp from The Cold Stairs returns. Then after that, the return of Parker Barrow. And I do have to admit, there's no better way to describe them than an adorable and very talented couple. They're good. Then you see, like, you listen to them and then you see them, you're like, they are just adorable. And then, oh my God.
Wow. Look at that.
Hell hath frozen over.
Oh boy.
So that rounds out July for the Bourbon Turntable. Then we have If You Have Ghosts, You Have Everything, which is a show about the spirits and paranormal among us, as well as the unexplained and the spiritual. Subscribe on Spotify to get the 3 previous seasons and the current season number 4 that's in progress. And then last but not least, we have Whiskey in My Ring podcast, where David Levine talks to people in the industry and industry adjacent. And David likes to get into the weeds with his guests. And David keeps track of things that he says in writing on his website. And David does really good reviews. So check out David. Whew. Uh-oh. Someone's laying down the law.
It looks like it.
No, the cat just wants to get out. Now someone's inside and they can do it. Thank you very much, sir. Or just pull him out. Whatever needs to be done.
You can get a new cat.
I can get it. Just go through there. Yeah. Oh, yes. And I see Paul was in the chat. We haven't seen you in a little while. And the food truck looks like it was doing well. I saw a couple of...
We did a follow-up with Paul.
I think that sounds like an excellent idea. There's going to be a time where we're going to see if we can tempt Paul to come someplace. Or maybe we could meet him in the middle for a distillery event or of some nature or something. I don't know. I'm excited and I want to try his food. I saw it and it looks delicious.
Mitch and I are a little more centrally located now, so that kind of helps. Sort of.
It's true. Up in his area around Moorhead, Minnesota, for you guys to get there would be like about 6.5 hours.
Oh, that's nothing.
Basically straight north on 29.
Okay.
No, seriously, it is.
Put the
it's
pedal
like
down and go.
Yeah, because because when I go up there, I can go 35 and cut through the middle of Iowa and go to the Twin Cities, or I can take 29, and 29 just zigzags back and forth between states.
Yeah.
And then you get up to a certain point, you just cut over a hair. So,
okay.
And you'll be going through South Dakota with that really nice high speed limit too. It's like 80 or 85.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can make
It's like
time there.
Western Nebraska.
Like it.
All right. Well, and I'm bringing us back around for the Whiskey Olympics. Obviously, with the Olympics coming up in the next couple of weeks, I'm excited. I like watching all the different sports. And we were thinking, what would be some good whiskeys to have within particular events or go good with an in particular one? Morgan, do you have one or two of the events that you thought kind of landed well with you?
Yeah. So my first one was fencing. And I actually thought Castle and Key Restoration Rye, because when I think of fencing, I think of a castle. Not sure why. That's just kind of what comes to my mind. Maybe it's because movies, you always see him like fencing in a castle courtyard over, the princess or something like that. But so yeah, that kind of came to mind. And fencing is pretty intense. So kind of need a punch for a rye in that aspect. Another one I had was for equestrian. Obviously, kind of Blanton's, right? But another one I think is Bluegrass Distillers Toasted Oak Bourbon. Especially, Mike, I know you have a bottle of it, the barrel pick from Westport Whiskey and Wine.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. Okay. I think that in equestrian, you think of the bluegrass, and that barrel pick specifically really speaks bluegrass to me. You get the tobacco notes. It just gives you that outside feel. I don't know. It's just something about it. Next one I had was surfing. And I definitely got the Cloudbreak Tiki Gin from 451 Spirits.
Nice.
100%. I don't know why. I just think there was another one too that was kind of along surfing guidelines, but yeah, totally think like Hawaii in that one. And
That's
then
a good one. The tiki gin on that is nice.
oh
Good
man,
choice.
oh, I love that stuff so much. And then the last one that I had paired with, this is just from, once again, a personal experience dealing with rugby players. Not sure how much you know about rugby players or their personalities, but they're pretty fearless. Rugby is kind of like football without pads, obviously. So I went with the Cat's Eye Distillery with Obtainium, but the not proof down version, which packs quite a punch. So I figured that is pretty fitting with rugby. Mitch's vote for that was Everclear. So, yeah. So those were just a couple that I had. I'm not sure about you guys.
I think if you gave them the choice, they would easily go your route over Everclear.
Maybe.
Well, I'd like to think so. So, Mike, did you? I have a couple here, but I think when you were talking about it, you looked at the list, which I'm going to be honest, was kind of intimidating. I haven't really looked at a list of them, and it was way bigger than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, I grouped some of mine together. Like I thought, for example, anything in the swimming pool, any event in the swimming pool, whatever it is, whether it's water polo, let's see what it'd be. It'd be water polo, it'd be the normal swimming events. I shouldn't say not normal swimming events, other swimming events, or I'm sure there's probably a swim gymnastics or something, synchronized swimming, things like that.
Swimming, yeah.
I had gin for that, lumping them all together. Anything outside the water sports, because I was thinking like yachts, hoity-toities, and I was thinking that it would have to be some sort of scotch.
Kevin's on fire in the chat. If you're not,
Kevin's
he's on fire.
Equestrian, I had because I was also thinking of equestrian or polo. I was thinking of, again, people with sticks up their ass. But I was just thinking single malts. Like each country would have their own single malt. That would be the representation of that. The only other one they had track and field for that one, 100%. I said bourbon. Just straight up bourbon for track and field.
Straight up to the whole thing. Okay.
Yeah. And there's a bunch of other ones that was going on, but yeah, the list is it's intimidating.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna, and we can go through a little bit of the list and come up with a couple other ones. So we have taken probably about 5 or 10 of them off of it already, which sounds ridiculous. Yeah. But I was gonna say for archery, if you happen to be watching archery, blade and bow. I feel that's kind of simple. I feel like there may be a couple other ones that hop out there to be fine. Shooting, bullet bourbon or rye. There's some other ones, but that's an easy one. And it's one that's easy for a lot of people to get. I know someone here will remember. I can't golf. What's that one that was it the Mannings and that one other chick did recently? Harvest Cove or something.
Oh, Sweetness Cove.
Sweetness Cove for golf.
The $300.
$300. That fits the area, and it's kind of for the people and stuff. I think that would be appropriate for the golfing crowd. Now I was going to say for track and field. I don't know. I was going to say that's where you get I was almost going to go by country or like with soccer. When I thought about that is like you're watching something for a while, you're watching a country for a while or a game that's including somebody. So like in something like that, it's easier to go. Let's say you have Brazil, Kinshasa, sorry, or some like local drink that's from the country. You know what I mean? Like or Greece, Ouzo. Like there's stuff like that you could get and have with that. Because if Greece gets in, I bet you there still is a bunch of Americans that watch Giannis play in the Olympics. This is the first time Greece would have made it in how many ever years or something like that. So I was looking at a couple of them, but Kevin's list is nice. Pole vaulting, Liberty pole. That is a nice one. There's no
Cornhole.
there's no cornhole tournament, sadly. Beach volleyball, gold.
Oh, there will be. You wait.
Well, probably it's like professional. I saw it. It was on ESPN 8, the Ocho, the other night. I did see it.
There's 2 big leagues.
Yeah, well, and it's this one girl is like coming up in the ranks and starting to place amongst the overall rankings and stuff. It was a big to do. It was exciting. But in that one, I don't know, is there really a men's and a women's league in cornhole that you need to have?
I think there probably is, just because they could do it. I mean, why wouldn't you do it? Why wouldn't you do mixed doubles?
Okay, well, that's fine. I just,
because then,
I don't know. It just seemed like one of those ones you can get away with. Golden Beaver for beach volleyball. Now, I do like this, but that's where I used Golden Beaver in the aquatics area is where I put that. Just because there's a couple different things out of there, and I liked it. I think that was kind of fitting. The high dive, high wire, that's very fun. Yeah. Very fair. And I was also coming about, like, if you're watching an event, is there something like an underdog whiskey? Or I might say that might be more of like a smaller craft distillery rather than like a big name one. So maybe you're watching somewhere there's an underdog to it, and you can lean that route. But I like going with something that was maybe from that country if you're actually watching something of time, because there's a lot of sports. The track and field, that's kind of bullshit for most of it. I was going to say, if you're watching in a particular event, most of them are done quite quickly, within 2 minutes or 2 to 3 minutes for the bulk of them, until you get to the middle distance stuff. So I don't know, but I had this other goofy list that I just want to go through, because if there was ever a actual whiskey Olympics, I have some events that I feel should be involved in it. There is one of them would be, and Kevin's still here, so he might find this appropriate, the 3-ounce whiskey thief pour, where you have a whiskey thief, it goes into a barrel, you pull it out, you have 3 glasses, and you have to pour 1 ounce into each one, blind, and then you put it back. And if there's spillage, there's major issues with spillage. You get shot. Deductions. Massive deductions for spillage. But it would be if you could blind die like a 1 ounce pour 3 times and also get enough from the barrel to do it. Just fun events. Standard barrel rolling. That seems to be at a lot of things in Kentucky. A couple other places have barrel rolling. I think that has to be. You could easily make that into an individual and a relay event. The next one I had was the Donner Jug distance toss. So kind of like, like the shot put or hammer throw, where you could spin in a circle and let it go. Also, bonus points if your jug did not break during the contest. Oh, I mean, it was made well. What was a different one? I will save that one for later. The bottle fill battle, where there's 2 people. One's filling the bottles by hand and the other one's labeling them. They have to do 3 cases for speed, but accuracy does matter as well too. Blind cut challenge for distillers. If they're distilling something, they have to make the cuts without the help of anybody on something, and you could obviously measure to see how well someone did in that. Rowing down a river, either with barrels in a boat or maybe on a barrel.
I like the on a barrel.
The on a barrel. I was going to say either that, or you could do I could say you could do an in the water barrel battle. That'd be like a loggers thing where you try to spin someone else off, but that'd be kind of too close. But I think It has to be something about getting barrels down a river, and they did that in the past, so that we can work that in somehow. Cocktail creation, but your brand can only put up one cocktail for this contest. You can't put up like 8, and that's the one that goes up, and it goes through like a bracketed event or something like that. Because obviously you want to see how something's used, and that could be a whole event evening. Obviously, you could spin that up a whole nother way. A blind flight free for all. Obviously, blind flight tastings for different individuals, trying to see who could do the best blind flights, and they could move on. If they're going against it, they could be tasting the same ones, then move up a bracket, and whoever wins and redo it as well. The barrel top discus toss, where you have the lid of it. You could find whatever way you want, but to get that thing tossed out like a discus. The boiler breakdown, which is a boiler is broken, and you have to go in and fix it. Same thing's broken. You don't know what's wrong, but you have to go in and be able to fix it in a certain time. It's time to see who does the best. Because from what I've heard, that is a major goddamn issue. is if you can learn how to fix that, that's a whole nother side job you didn't think you were getting into. And for one of the last ones, I think the bootleg 400, where you actually race across the state on back highways with booze in the back to see, and if you break it, you lose it. There's definitely a spillage issue, but can you get it to the thing in a certain time frame? Obviously who's the fastest type of thing. I know it would suck. You'd have to block off roads, but it would be the fucking coolest thing. I'm sorry, if you're watching racing, watching a bunch of bootleg racers going through like county dirt roads and shit, that's awesome. That's a whole day on the History Channel or Discovery. So those are some of them. Obviously, there'd be something with nosing. I don't know what in that aspect yet, but you'd have to test someone's, to pull in some more aspects of the entire distilling thing. But I think that's a start. I think that's a start of events that could take up a day or two and actually be kind of something people could take on for real. But like I've always said with, the Pro Bowl for the NFL, where they have all these events they compete in, you should let the people do it the week beforehand. And if anyone's really good and plays well, they should get to compete against the distillers. What distilleries should have to put up their own contestants. Like if you're going that, you have to bring someone from your distillery to compete. And you can't have just hired someone like the Simpsons did and bring in a ringer team. Can't do that shit. You have to check. They've all only been hired in the last 3 weeks. No, you can't do that. which would also be awesome. But I think you could. There. Cold Metal, start the anthem now. That's right. You'd almost want your distilleries to have their own song then.
Oh, that would be a good one. Distilleries creating their own anthem, their own song.
I just mean that instead of going to your standard like event or tasting or something, that at least sounds like a cool weekend with different stuff involved. You'd obviously have tastings at some of these events. Some would be sponsored. NASCAR's jumping all over that bootleg run. And they can get to use parts they don't get to use in the normal NASCARs. Those guys are ready to build something goofy. You know, there's people out there that have one built already anyways, too.
Well, you could do something like combine equestrian with that. So then you're not dealing with vehicles. You got a bootleg on a horse. Old school.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. See, because then you could go, then as you're going around the barrels or you're going over the jumps, you either have to drop things off or pick things up. Like you have to grab the money and you have to drop a bottle somewhere else as you're doing this.
You know what I like?
Running around doing all this stuff.
I like this because you brought in the equestrian events
right.
that I had not brought in here. This is a whole other side. I'm gonna have to write this down.
I strangely gave this too much thought.
Well, how can you? This is. It sounds dumb, but this should be outstanding. If you found out this was happening, like, what the fuck is happening?
Exactly.
Yeah, I'll go.
Yeah.
It's like a half strongman competition of some sort, and you get to drink whiskey.
I mean, some of it, yeah. Morgan, what do you have?
So I had kind of a spin-off one of Pat's a little bit. His is a little more in depth about the 1 ounce pours off the Whiskey Thief, but I had a blindfolded 1 ounce pour, closest to 1 ounce wins. But it's like the Price is Right that if you go over, you lose because, Price is Right rules obviously trump everything, right? Also sticking with horses. This is more like the backyard whiskey Olympics, but, we'll go with this. Participants must ride a stick horse through a hunter jumper course while holding a whiskey cocktail. The person with the most liquid in the glass at the end of the course wins. So
that's almost a college event. have you seen the stick horse competitions from they're in the Netherlands?
Oh, they're serious.
Yeah, but as a sidebar, when we moved in this house, the next door neighbor girl was 5. She didn't have a stick horse, but she rode around the yard like she had a stick horse, and then she would stop and act like she was up against a tree, and then she would act like she's rubbing her back and stuff. And first we saw her, and we're like, we had no idea. And then her mom's like, "Oh, it's her. She likes to either pretend she's a horse or that she's riding a horse." Like, have you had her checked out? Yeah. I mean, it was funny at the time, and she's of course a grown adult. She's a wonderful person, but at the time she was a kid, we're like, what is she doing? And then some friends came to visit us, and they're like, what's that kid doing? I had to explain her.
nice.
So anyway, sorry to interrupt.
Oh, and another one I had on here was the ferment free-for-all, where you had to hand pitch your yeast to success, which is also kind of a timed thing, and you can tell if it, was consumed or sugar rate and stuff. So, this is another one where you had a little more motion, bringing it back to the past with stuff. Or there's still a lot of places that will do that, but let me tell you, when they can get that normal agitator, they think it's wonderful. So I don't know. That's. Well, that's that was actually one of the things where I didn't know. I didn't think of it in the Weddle world, but there is actually like a long time over the day consumption thing that it almost has to be some form of it.
Valid.
Well, you can't see. You don't want anyone to get sick from the thing, but I do want to see people fall over like an Indiana Jones. I want to see someone go Pastore. Come back from passing out.
No good Olympian will let that happen.
To win the Weddling.
Yeah.
The Weddling.
So what about what else did you have, Morgan?
I also had the balancing act. Walk 100 yards while balancing a bottle of whiskey on the top of your head.
Ooh.
And then the last one I had was called the perfect peel, which is measuring an orange rind to get the perfect peel for an old-fashioned orange rind. So measuring, the length and then the width and then, of course, the depth, because, you have to have the perfect orange rind to go with your old-fashioned. So those were mine. Yeah. Like I said, backyard whiskey Olympics, but hey, it works.
Hey, they might do some of these. Yeah. I was thinking like with this cycling too, combining cycling with either pouring or picking up and dropping off, especially when they get in the cycle dome, they're really flying around there. And they have to stop and pick stuff up. And any of the ones like I don't remember, is BMX on here?
Yes.
Yeah, BMX racing. That'd be a perfect one. They've got to jump over barrels, so they got to pick stuff up. They have to do they have to do it like the freestyle. For freestyle, they'd have to like knock a twisty off of a bottle that's glued down, things like that. But then, because you really could do it, just incorporate it, and then
I like
you have
the BMX one a lot for the bikes more than
you
the
could
other.
do a
one.
lot of sponsorships. You'd have different companies. So obviously, you'd probably have like American company that would be sponsoring BMX, but you get some of these other events in there, like cycling. You get the French in there. You have that, so they'd be doing cognac. I mean, you could. I'm talking about making money for people, but then I had of my another one. I had a heptathlon for brand reps, where they have to pack up, set up, give their speak while pouring to another person.
Awesome.
A different person that they have to talk to one person and pour to another. Okay. They have to do the perfect pour. They have to keep their table organized, and they got to do a cleanup. And you can do like timing and judging on that. I had the cocktail making on there where you had to do like Top Chef style, where it's like you could bring one ingredient, all the other ingredients are provided. And then you got to do like precision slicing, timed shaking, and then like you check the results after X amount of time to see how incorporated your stuff is. Obviously, barrel rolling, barrel filling, bottle filling, still cleaning. I had that one on there, and coopering.
That's what I had.
Coopering would be really good. Then I had
didn't know
for
what in the coopering, because I was going to say do a whole barrel, but then don't you have to like fire it at one point, bring it down, or maybe
I'd immediately make it and test it for leaks.
Okay,
that would be mine.
Yeah, I was going to. Okay,
and then like you, Morgan, I think you brought up about the would you say about the distilleries doing the anthem or something?
Yeah.
So I had that in the Olympic trials. You determine what distillery carries the flag. So you get supremacy there. And then I had for the other events, which are me just being me, you'd have competitive marketing, aka bullshit and lie contest.
That was one of the ones I was going to have. Some about
also competitive passing money under the table.
I was going to say creative accounting.
Yeah, another one would be distribution, where you have to explain it with a straight face and make somebody understand how it actually works.
Which state?
Wait. The person comes up to it can't be done. See you later.
Love it.
The Europeans they'd have a lock. They sell everywhere. But anyway, yeah, those are the big ones that I had.
The brand rep one I wanted to fill in, so I like what you did with that because it's a little more in depth than what I had for. I just had brand rep in there. I'm like, it's one of those things where I didn't know where I wanted to push it with what you did, because I'm like, obviously you'd want to pitch it, but I want to make it sound like your job is bullshit. But I want to do like bullshitting, because that's really talking and interacting with people well can be bullshitting and done right. You know, like, but usually when I think of bullshit, I think someone's slinging some garbage.
Yeah.
You know? Rather than telling me the truth. NASCAR, yeah, there was the Bootleg 400. It's like a backwoods race for bootleggers, so it encompasses the NASCAR excitement, people. Mike's brought up that there would be, I like the carriage derby delivery, like the old school one. Or going around the course. Going around like a course, so that way would be awesome.
Or, well, I mean, that could be incorporated into the Olympic marathon too. And the triathlon. I mean, the marathon would be easy because it's like, that's fine. You got to keep your pace and everything, but you've got to pick up something and drop it off.
Well, or do you run the marathon with 2 bottles in your backpack?
Well, that'd be too hard.
Or one? One's not.
Because that would completely screw your stride up.
Yeah.
But if you did like the triathlon, I mean, you could definitely do it with a triathlon.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be doable.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway,
the triathlon you could do in the relay version as well too. Just saying.
Yeah. So I mean, because there's also because some of the other ones on the list, which I thought, I mean, you could have fun with them, but you also don't want people drinking stuff. Like you don't want them drinking during archery and stuff. But there was, I mean, or maybe
end, you know, I mean,
maybe you do. I don't know.
It's kind of like old school bowling, you know, like.
But like what was where's the one? So I make sure that I give it the right name and I don't make up one of my names. Sport climbing would be another one that you could use for bootlegging because you can take and have to put stuff up in the tree and take it down somewhere else. Trampoline.
Oh boy.
I know.
Trampoline?
I know. It's like, how would you incorporate that in the trampoline?
I don't know. 3-tier relay race. Oh, then that's almost too much. Yeah, that's a lot.
Somehow.
What if the one tier doesn't want to work with the other 2 tiers?
Yeah. or yeah, and realistically what you do, you'd stop at the first tier, and then that first tier would make you carry 400 bottles of something else, so you'd have the privilege of carrying the golden baton at the end.
Is that part of the bullshit thing?
Well, no, but the competitive marketing would be all the
that would be cool, actually. I think that would be kind of neat. Where they have to have a pitch. That would be great because it would, hopefully you would be smart enough to tie that into your song, your theme that you need in case you happen to. And at least if you're going to do an entry, like you said, an entry flag, whoever's leading it, every distillery could have a flag, and as you walk in, you could have your own. That's when someone could play your theme, 30-second song when you get to your thing, and everyone plays their own thing. Some of them, I think Chris from Golden Beaver might come up with something kind of interesting. There's some other people that might steer a certain route that would be outstanding.
Yeah.
Competitive case stacking. I could see
that would be good.
That's a good one, Richard.
I think handball they should play with a bung and not a handball.
I was just trying to figure out how to bring a bung into it. Is it, hammering it in sounds too easy, and getting it, I don't know, but you got to do something with it.
And handball, you hit a bung instead of the hand. Yep.
But that doesn't bounce. Does it bounce? Those are like rubber ones now, right?
It'd be unpredictable too. So you got to hit the kill shot.
Do you get to wear a glove though, or are you just gonna have this broken ass hand?
I mean,
at the end of the first round.
I think you'd have to do that.
So what are you doing? He's playing the second round left-handed. He broke it. Yet it hasn't numbed up yet. I'd like to say I could bring boxing or something into it, but I don't think that would be a good idea.
No, boxing. That was one of the sports. Boxing and wrestling I was thinking of the whiskeys that you'd have with it. And boxing, although there is, boxing has a certain amount of finesse, can have a certain amount of finesse to it, but really it's the punch. So that would, to me, it's like, if you're going to watch boxing, you got to drink high proof whiskey.
Yeah, we're looking.
Maybe but if you're doing,
but yeah, showstoppers in boxing, you want to see.
Yes. Yeah, because that's what you're there for. But wrestling, though, especially if you're doing freestyle wrestling, not freestyle wrestling, doing Greco-Roman wrestling, because Greco-Roman wrestling, you're really you're not so much. It's kind of like judo, where you're trying to outmaneuver them, and not like freestyle, where the point is to gain points to get them down. You're getting points by moving body and doing things around, and so you're kind of playing around. So I was thinking that would be like a good one for a really playful blended whiskey. Something that takes a while, that really does this for a while. But freestyle wrestling could be that could be exciting and whatever, but I think that one seems to be harder to me. But I kept thinking freestyle wrestling, it's like, it's got to be a blend.
Well, I was gonna say it's weird when you see them both come into real life situations between like Greco-Roman and like freestyle. In real life situations, I think the freestyle has a little more use because you're taking whatever advantage you can get right away rather than trying to maneuver for a movement. Because that sounds right.
True, but if you were going to hire somebody for a job, and that job required being a competitive case stacker, as Richard brought up, would you hire a freestyle wrestler or a Greco-Roman wrestler?
Greco-Roman.
Yeah,
He's gonna be bigger and stronger, technically, like muscle mass wise.
full body strong as
Yeah.
opposed to neck and shoulders.
But the competitive case stacking, that's where's my pen? My pen fell. Like, can you write that
Yeah.
one down?
We gotta call the
put
committee.
list at the end of all the tomorrow and have an actual list because I like this. I feel like
I like the bunghole cornhole too. That's
doable.
it. Would just have to be a smaller hole.
To see, or is it like where there's the bigger one in the middle and the
I want to hear the
smaller ones in
announcers
the
call it.
corner where the bung can get stuck for like.
Oh. Yes. It's like
boards
the, is it skee ball, the arcade
Yeah.
game? It would be
Yeah.
like that with a combination of cornhole, only with
Yeah, like
You got to use Blant. You got to roll Blanton's bottles.
There's someone else we could roll too. I wonder if there's something like that where you could be like Blanton's or like a Sexton bottle. There's a couple other ones I think that would roll.
Yeah,
obviously
but what's
round
the liqueur? Chambord. That one's
Yeah.
Sandboard would.
that one would.
That's too long.
Yeah, that could be. It could be interesting figuring out which one of those. But
And there's like a round someone. Well, besides Bland's, there's someone with like a round bottle. Like there was a Captain Morgan's like cannonball thing a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Round. You could do like a bocce ball thing with that.
yeah. And the other thing I was thinking was rhythmic
Yes.
gymnastics. Rhythmic gymnastics has to use barrel hoops.
Yes, that's cool. I like that.
That's a good one.
Rusty barrel hoops.
Special arm things. Renita's right. That's what I was talking about. I can't remember the name, but I know there is one that's a golf ball.
Actually, Richard. Richard said Blanton's curling. You know which one that I thought though for curling? I know we're not doing Winter Olympics. The bottles that 13th Colony uses.
Yeah.
I may or may not have one. Maybe not. Maybe not. Anyway, but for anyone who hasn't seen them, they're squat and they've got a neck and just a big wide body, so you'd have a handle on top.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's a couple. I'm sure there's a couple other things that we're missing, but there's stuff to get close here. You could easy, like you said, that ring thing. You could branch out. There's maybe not, Kevin. We might be on the tip of something here.
Yeah, why wouldn't we be serious about this?
Yeah, imagine if you could go to this as Kevin.
Yes.
Yes, that is very true. Widow James. You know what? That would be cool as a cocktail toss because that would be another distance thing. As Molotov cock. You know what? That's not bad. Have to be small bottles though, or is the maximum flame output? Ooh.
Or you know what? If you did for track and field instead of handing the baton. Instead of handing the baton, no.
Oh,
Instead
Lord.
of handing the baton, have them hold Pappy 23 bottles, and then watch the anguish whenever someone dropped it. You'd see all these bros going, no, and they'd cry and they would get their bedazzled jeans all rusted and stuff. It'd be hilarious. Or fencing with instead of using the what's it called? It's not called a Perrier. What's it called? There's a specific name for it. A foil?
Yeah, I think so.
Maybe whatever. You got to use Pappy bottles.
I can use a whiskey thief for fencing too.
Oh, that's true. You could do that. I was just thinking of watching grown men cry.
Well, you could do that. You could have random bottles as they're handing in. You could have different teams have different bottles, like ones you would expect to drop more or less. Can you imagine the betting options on this?
Yeah.
Someone's going to drop the bottle.
Rugby, they could toss Blanton's bottles. That would about work. What other one could we get them to where we just totally irritate people?
I gotta find that. What was the?
Oh goodness.
Give me 1 second. I gotta find that list of the events again because there's other ones.
I mean, archery, you could put a Pappy bottle on the bullseye.
No, now you're just making people cry.
That's my point.
I know, but
For
I mean,
shooting-
if it was Winter Olympics, you could do the biathlon where they shoot it with the target.
I was gonna say for shooting instead of clay pigeons, you could use Pappy bottles, but those might be a little hard to watch.
in the swimming, you could go diving for bottles. You know, like make it more than the normal one, like the deep sea diving.
But you crack the seal a little bit, and so that way, if they don't get it in time, it gets ruined by the chlorine.
You see someone else jump in the pool of the lifeguards, jumping in unnecessarily.
Yeah, and maybe it's not just Pappy, but get the ones that tick all the boxes. Get the Pappy bottles from 15 years ago. Get Macallan for some of them. That'd make a lot of them cry. What would be another good one to throw in there? I mean, really, those would be the two big ones that would kind of cover a lot of tears.
There's a way to work judo into this too. I don't know how, but I feel like that's just like kind of like.
Well, judo is about balance. They should have to stand on balls.
Barrels. Oh, I was gonna say, and like maneuvering barrels. That could be part of that.
Yeah. That'd be some good judo training, by the way.
Yeah.
Manually moving barrels in a warehouse.
So we got the rowing, sailing, kind of the same thing. Skateboarding, I actually like that skateboarding and doing some of the other events, but you could easily work a distillery or some things into it, barrels and whatnot.
Is it raining? Is it raining in Wisconsin?
Oh yeah, just now, just because life is great. Never screws you over or anything. Water weightlifting. You could do it by barrel size. It doesn't all have to be the 55-gallon barrels, but you could be doing like the pickup and put over your, like lift up to your chest or put it up over your head with its smaller size barrels.
You have to set it back down on top of bottles of whiskey without breaking them.
Holy shit, man!
I know.
Gosh.
Or not.
I'll start on the 5-gallon barrel. If someone does it, we'll see what happens after.
But if you did, like golf, and instead of, you couldn't use golf tees, the ball had to be teed up off the top of a bottle, and just watch the neck getting smashed. Oh,
I kind of like that other one. All right.
Yeah.
Since the weather is not cooperating with me, and we're almost an hour in, anyways. I don't know. I think between it. Ooh. That.
And.
You know what? That
always correcting. She got the facts.
They're gonna fuck it up.
You're making a mockery of this mockery. Let me correct you.
No, but judo, like talking about store reps all the time, yeah, but if you were actually the counter worker, maybe you could work them into it where you have to deal with people asking for Blantons all day. Creative responses to the Blantons or allocated questions.
Well, or even that, you have to maneuver the store reps to get to where you want to actually go on there. So you're having to duck and dive and
That's a good one. That's a really good one.
I like it. So, like I said, I think there's a little something here for people to have a fun weekend. And a lot. Hey, like I said, all the distilleries should be able to do stuff, but maybe like a day or two before on some of these where they're really anyone could try should be able to participate. You know,
I don't know why they haven't reached out to us by now.
Well, they're gonna. Well, with the Olympic, they're probably
we
gonna
have
talk about.
We have
us
Morgan
using-
now. We have somebody with credibility.
Yeah.
What? I don't know about that, but
They're gonna first ask us.
You're more trustworthy than you're like. Not these two again. It's like, oh, Morgan's here. That's it.
oh Lord.
But,
Oh goodness gracious.
yeah, they're gonna ask us about why we use their logo. But that's okay.
Well, I did make sure to at least clean the because those are the medals for Paris.
Oh, really?
They are.
Oh, I'm gonna
well,
bring that back
I
up.
know you would think that they would be.
Oh God, really?
Yeah.
Does it even? It doesn't need. That's off.
Now I don't know if those are reminiscent of whatever it was 100 years ago that last time they were in Paris. I don't know that, but I guess I would have thought it would have looked different for Paris, but I at least took the logo out of the middle of it.
Okay, that's good.
Because just in case someone got upset and turned us in for
only once or twice.
Yeah.
But
because they're obscured otherwise, and it is a picture of those to show the medals, but as far as the big logo in the back, it's at least it's partly covered up. So,
but okay, doesn't this look like an Art Deco coaster?
Yeah,
like
a little
you're
bit.
Supposed to set your drink on it in the 1920s. Can you trade? Like, if you get it and be like, "Can I get a real medal?"
Have a cool one.
Well, there has to be something for the bros in this. Like, that could be a rep thing. Is handling bros 101.
Well, then I guess you could also mock it. Like, what was the Winter Olympics? Man, I used to know all of these things. The Winter Olympics, where there was the judging scandal for ice skating, and they removed, I think it was a French judge for it because they were given favorable marks. So that would be similar to some competitions where pay to play, and so that's why you would get a double bronze instead of a bronze.
Okay. Question.
So there's first, second, and third, and then there's double gold on the Olympics.
But I get you're talking double bronze. I'm like, if you had bronze or double bronze, to me it sounds like double bronze. Like you finished below bronze. Like you weren't quite good enough to get
the worst things too. It used to be, it's gold, medal, and silver, first, second, and third, and it's like, well, we want to give everybody an award somehow. So
they used to give ribbons out.
Let's double it.
No.
So they could do that for the Olympics too. It's like, well,
oh God,
you were you won the event, but you set a world record and an Olympic record, so you get double gold.
No. I won't let these Olympics be tainted in that manner. There'll be no doubling gold. You can make enough money in other places. You don't.
The Olympics tainted themselves prior to.
Well, that's a whole discussion. I have that, and like the World Cup. I really like the World. Like to watch.
Oh, World Cup is just.
World Cup, but
it is 1,000% corrupt.
Horrible. It is.
And Olympics, Olympics.
They're bad too.
But you know what? I'm going to watch a lot of Olympics.
Yeah, it sucks.
Because I'm going to turn on some event that just randomly, and I'm going to watch the hell out of it. Whatever.
Badminton, table tennis.
Oh, I love badminton. I absolutely love badminton. It is so much fun to watch. I love playing badminton, as you can probably tell, but I really, really enjoy watching badminton. just so fast and frantic.
Well, that's just it. Like, you don't really think people can get it to move like that, and then you think they're hitting it back, but it's on there, and they're like doing a weird flip thing with it at the same time that they're hitting it, and it's
same thing for table tennis. I love watching that too.
Yes, Kevin. On our Olympics, you can that's part of it.
You can gamble on anything. This is America, Kevin.
Yeah. It's the unique prop bets.
You just got to throw out those obscure bets, like on the canoe sprint.
Yeah. Do they have to see? I feel like they have to stand on it with a stick to get down the river or something.
Okay, so I haven't. I mostly refuse to watch a lot of the news, but the mayor, Paris mayor, and the president both going to spend time in the
What?
The river. Anyway, they're both going to spend time. They're going to spend time in the river to prove that it's clean.
Oh,
and when they announced that they were going to do that, then a lot of people ahead of time just were taking shits in the water. And I do have to say though, one thing I do love the French for, man, when they want to say they don't like something, nobody strikes like the French. They'll strike over anything. And they're all in. It's not one or two. It's like everybody. They're all in. So I think it's funny. Those guys like, well, we're going to be down at the river at this time to prove that it's clean. And so they were calculating with the flow, how long would it take and where they would have to drop. It would get to that point prior to or right when they were there. Like, cheers to the French.
Everyone, we're shitting off this point later tonight. Yes. Get over here.
Yep.
Oh my goodness.
Plus, that's a weird ass memory. What is it, like 200 people all getting together to shit in the river?
Could be more than that.
Could be more than that.
They can organize.
Hopefully they don't get in the way. I'm sorry, that medal, I'm not thrilled with it, but that's okay.
Yeah, it's not one of your more attractive Olympic medals.
No, I don't at this point in the world, I feel like, is everyone just too afraid to say something? Like right away I'd have been like, no.
I feel like Olympic medals, they should all be the same size and shape, and what you do on the inside and with the ribbon and whatever you call that connects the ribbon to it, that's your flair.
Yeah, here it's this big.
Yeah.
You get a whole side to play with. The other side says Olympics year sport, blah blah blah. You get a whole side to do something cool. I don't know.
Yep. All right.
Strikes and cigarettes. Yeah, the French are good at both. All right. But like we were saying,
and adultery. They're good at adultery.
I could go down some other weird paths.
I know. I'm going to shut up.
Good. But I want to thank everyone for stopping in. We're going to get a list of these kind of fanned out that we each did tonight, because I'm going to post like a semi-good list of these, because I think there's something there that could be fun. Could build, but hey, sponsors love to slap their name all over everything.
This could be a fun way to spice up the Kentucky Bourbon Festival. Instead of just the barrel rolling that they do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or this with some of the suggestions though, I think they could be cleaned up a bit and something like Bourbon on the Banks.
Well, some of them, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, obviously they could be all of these could be refined or pinned down more, but they're just the start of ideas.
Yeah.
So, Morgan, thank you for stopping in tonight. I really appreciate you coming on the show again. We loved having you.
Thanks,
Mike, is it the 29th?
29th Whiskey Crusaders. Yes. One or all three will be on to talk about their new space their new venture, go to whiskeycrusaders.com. If you're going to be in the DFW area and you want to do a really cool tasting from bottom shelf on up to obscure things to the elusive pappies to if you want to do all distilleries that are closed, you can pick. They've got it. And they're really nice people.
Mhm.
And they found a nice way to get around some of the things there with the tastings and stuff, the way they labeled it. So good for them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, Emily made me laugh. All right. Well, thank you for stopping in tonight. Like I said, stop in next week. We'll be having another show, and we'll keep you abreast of some of the other shows we have going on. We're going to be recording probably with Turner Wathan because he can't make our 8 o'clock time frame, but we'll record it and get it put out later like we would normally would. And there's a couple other ones in the works too. So we will see everyone next week. Remember, it's not the size of the den that matters, but it's the love of whiskey. Cheers, everyone.
Cheers.
Cheers.
What?